Governor Rafael Hernandez Colon of Puerto Rico, it's impossible for a visitor to come here for a very long time without hearing the question of the status, whether or not Puerto Rico should remain a commonwealth, become a state, or become independent. What is your own position on the issue?
Well, I support the current status, which is commonwealth. But I have a broader position. People here in Puerto Rico from the opposing parties talk a lot about status because they're ideological parties. They were formed for the purpose of achieving a status quo. So we have an independence party and we have a statehood party. Now, our party is not an ideological party. It performs under the government of Puerto Rico as established within the present relationship. And we, right now, are committed to solving Puerto Rico's basic problems, which are problems of unemployment, crime, as everywhere else, better attendance to our patients in our hospitals. We have 60% of the population of Puerto Rico is attended to by state government hospitals, and better education. Those are our goals, and that's what we are working on.
Our viewers will have the chance to see an interview that we videotaped with a group of political journalists. One of them, Harold Linden of the San Juan Star, said, you know, in this island, the press and the politicians talk about statehood all the time, but the people really don't. Do you agree with him?
I agree with him fully. What the people talk about is, you know, unemployment. It's 20% unemployment. They talk about the condition of the hospitals. They talk about schools. They talk about crime. They talk about those problems. And so our party takes the view that we should, you know, follow the priorities of the people.
As you listen to people talk about the status question, the reasoning for the debate seems to be centered on two things. One is the psyche of the people who live here, whether or not the culture will be influenced by too much domination by the United States, the necessity to remain a Latin culture. Can you talk about that for a while?
Well, the cultural question would not be affected by a status change except if Congress put in a requirement for the English language. I think that would make a very serious difference, and I don't know if Congress will require it or not. Past indications at the time that status was studied here by a commission of U.S. and Puerto Rico were that, yes, such a requirement would be forthcoming. It has been enacted previously when territories such as New Mexico, which are Spanish-speaking, or Louisiana, which was French, came into the Union. They were required by the Congress in an euphemism. They said that the language of instructions in their schools and the laws of the states would be written in the same language as the laws of the United States are written, English.
The reason for the status question seems to revolve around economic problems. I'd like to spend the bulk of our time together talking a bit about the economic problems. You mentioned 20% unemployment. As with all unemployment statistics, that's often misleading because it reflects the number of people actively looking for work. So in fact, there may be more than 20%. Why is unemployment such a problem here?
Well, because we are one of the most overpopulated areas in the world, and we have very few natural resources. This island is 35 miles wide, 100 miles long, and there are 3,200,000 Puerto Ricans here, living here. Given the fact that we have no natural resources, you will understand that in order to create jobs for all those people, it's a major developmental effort that is involved. Now, when you view the Puerto Rican problem from a U.S. perspective, you must take into account the different degrees of development. The United States is a fully developed country. It is the most developed country in the world, and it has been one of the most advanced countries in the world for all of this century. At the same time, Puerto Rico, in the 1940s, was just as underdeveloped as the most underdeveloped areas in the Caribbean are today, let's say Haiti. Our per capita income was $127. Now, we've come a long way. We're up to 4,600. This is the highest in Latin America. But still, the U.S., being a fully developed country since the beginning of the century, is further ahead from us. You will understand that the laws of a fully developed country are very difficult to apply to an underdeveloped country. And so a different type of relationship must be developed and has been developed between Puerto Rico and the United States so that we can maintain a permanent union which has been established through the bond of common citizenship. We've been citizens since 1917. And so under that bond, we have a permanent union. But the question is, what is the political structure that's going to accompany that union between Puerto Rico and the United States? Now, some people say statehood. That is exactly the same structure that every state has. The problem with that is that we come in the latter part of the century. The other states are developed and we are not. And so economically, we cannot face that same situation. Federal taxes do not apply to Puerto Rico right now. And the application of such taxes on top of our very extensive commonwealth taxes would really break the back of this economy.
So you're saying statehood perhaps someday, just not now?
Well, if you would tend to think that this is a question of catching up. But as you look to history, you know, those countries that are ahead stay ahead. And so what I'm saying is a relationship such as the one we have must be maintained on a permanent basis so that we can achieve our quota of progress. But I really do not expect by any means that, you know, we are by some work of magic go to come to the development levels of the United States.
One of the benefits that comes to Puerto Rico because of the Commonwealth status is the 936 provision in the tax code. Would you explain to our viewers what that does for businesses in Puerto Rico?
Well, it's a section that puts Puerto Rico in a position so that we can compete with foreign countries in terms of attracting American investment. A U.S. company that goes to a foreign country is allowed a benefit called deferral, which is they defer the tax on their income until they repatriate, and when they do, there's some mechanisms where they have some type of tax relief, but not full. Now, if the same investment is made in Puerto Rico, then it is full tax relief, so that Puerto Rico stands in a better competitive position to other foreign countries. And on that basis, we have been able to achieve this growth, which represents the growth from $127 per capita to $4,600 per capita. And that's a major job of development.
The reason for C-SPAN's...
Just a second so that you can put it into perspective. The per capita in the U.S. is some 13,000. So that puts us at quite a distance still from the U.S.
The reason for C-SPAN's visit to San Juan is the Conference of Mayors. While we've been here, the mayors have ratified a resolution saying that 936 should remain in the tax code. Now, as we stand right now, as the Senate is still working on the tax code, will 936, in your estimation, remain?
Yes, yes.
It was not always so, though. It was
No. Treasury 1 and Treasury 2 proposed its elimination and its substitution for a wage credit. A wage credit would have placed us in a competitive position with all our Caribbean neighbors. It would have been a very difficult situation for Puerto Rico. 936, as I said, is much better, and we won over the support of the House of Representatives. We won the support of the Treasury of the United States, and the Finance Committee of the Senate has also supported 936. So we're pretty much home.
You mentioned that it would put Puerto Rico in the same economic situation as the other neighbors in the Caribbean. You're saying that Puerto Rico deserves more of a break because of the special relationship than the other?
Well, what I'm saying is that the reason for U.S. business to come to Puerto Rico is that they have this greater tax advantage in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. If they were to look for wage differentials, they would go to other places like Haiti, where the minimum is something like 40 cents per hour. We have here the federal minimum wage. So I am saying that if they gave us a wage credit, they would be setting us in a competitive pursuit with our Caribbean neighbors. And by 936, we're in a better position, but not to the expense of our Caribbean neighbors, because we have proposed to share 936 with our Caribbean neighbors by twin plants that would be established in other Caribbean countries and Puerto Rico. And this proposal, in fact, was a proposal that saved 936.
You certainly have heard all the criticisms of 936, that it is in fact a giveaway for the multinationals rather than helping the people here. How do you respond to those sort of criticisms?
Well, 200,000 jobs in Puerto Rico depend on 936. That is 1/5 of our labor force. 40% of the deposits in our banks are 936 deposits. That's a very large chunk of our financial system. 936 works. 936 has done the developmental work that I have pointed out before, taking us from the low levels of 127 per capita to 4,600 per capita. It works under very difficult situation because Puerto Rico, as I said, is an island 35 miles wide, 100 miles long. So we're in a very improbable economic position. It has done a great job. Now, we have high unemployment, but that's not because of 936. That's in spite of 936 because of our tremendous economic problems. But certainly without 936, we would be facing an unemployment of 30 or up to 40%, and that would be disastrous.
Governor, and one of the other criticisms on that same note that we heard from this group of journalists was that 936 continued a dependent relationship with the states rather than, and I did hear you say about there being a lack of natural resources here, but rather than Puerto Ricans looking for businesses that were natural to this area that they could then develop, rather than attracting mainland businesses?
No, that is not an either-or situation. As we have gotten these factories here, as Puerto Ricans have been trained in these factories, as we've gotten more managers, as we have learned more and more of the entrepreneurial skills, Puerto Ricans are developing their own plants. Puerto Rican industries are a growing reality, and we are making progress in both areas, in attracting 936 companies and in establishing new Puerto Rican companies.
One of the other things I'd like to talk about is about your youth. Young people have a high unemployment rate, but also you mentioned education. There are some very fine schools in Puerto Rico. Are you concerned about the talented youth leaving to go to the mainland to seek jobs?
We do have a lot of that, yes. A lot of our engineers are leaving. We're losing some of our doctors now. We have begun to experience that problem in the past about 8 years. That has become a reality here. We hope by concentrating on our problems to create more opportunities so that we can retain our people here, our good and trained people, but also our good workers and those that want to have a better opportunity no matter what their skill levels. We want to retain them here, and that's what we hope to accomplish through our developmental programs. That's why we concentrate on our economy, on our social problems, on our education, and we stay away from this status debate that just it's a lot of talk, but it really leaves the Puerto Rican necessities empty.
Are you welcoming the upcoming hearings in Congress?
There are hearings scheduled for the 17th on the international role that Puerto Rico can play and other areas. As I mentioned before to you, under our program with the twin plants, we can make a tremendous impact in the Caribbean through 936 and the establishment of plants that begin their manufacturing process in one Caribbean country and end in Puerto Rico for export to wherever. Now, this can make a tremendous impact in the area. Take, for instance, Grenada. We have 4 plants going into Grenada, 4 plants. That means that we will create more jobs than the jobs that have been created since Grenada was liberated. Now, we have that capability, and we think that we are doing a very good service, both to the United States, to Puerto Rico, and to the region by undertaking this program, and we will go there to explain these things.
Another economic avenue is tourism. The mayors, are talking a lot about tourism during their visit here for their own communities. But I read in the paper this morning a suggestion that San Juan especially use its waterfront better to attract tourists. Is that something that you approve of?
Yes, certainly. We have made improvements on our waterfront. It's much nicer today than it was some years ago. We've got new piers. We've got very nice walks out there. We, under my present administration, have also been condemning some property to make it available for commercial use there. And we look forward to a development of this very precious asset which Puerto Rico has out there in the San Juan Bay, which is one of the most beautiful bays in the world, and which we haven't really fully exploited as we can. Yes, I think that was a very good comment.
Do you feel the necessity, however, to walk a fine line in terms of the tourism dollars coming in? As the chief executive here, again, with the journalists, they were criticizing the other Caribbean nations because excessive dependence on tourism without building up the other industries and manufacturing the like. So where you sit, tourism is a good thing, but not too much in balance?
No, but look, we have been so much into industrial development in 936 that really, that is not a real concern for us. I mean, we can do a lot of development in tourism without running into any type of imbalance.
Take all the tourist dollars you can
We'll
get.
take them all.
On crime for a minute. Crime is often connected rather to the unemployment rate. With an unemployment rate of 20% always staring at you, how do you hope to address the crime problem here?
Well, number one, by lowering the unemployment rate, and also by providing better security for the people of Puerto Rico. Now, at the conference, we've had, for instance, Chief Murphy. He has been present at this mayor's conference, and we have retained him in Puerto Rico, and he's come to assist us in providing more efficient police services. We are doing this with all the criminal justice system, revamping our courts, our district attorney's office, building more prisons, and professionalizing all the different personnel that works in this area so that we can also provide better security and protection and law enforcement services for Puerto Rico.
We only have 5 more minutes with you, Governor. I want to spend the last 5 minutes talking politics.
Okay.
It is no secret to people, at least at the mayor's conference of today, about the adversarial relationship, and it's one which is very open and often joked about, between you and the mayor of San Juan, Baltasar Corrado. Is it difficult for people who don't understand the government here on the island, if you have the major city where most of the population is, and the mayor is of one party and the governor is of another? Does it cause a stalemate in government, or can you get things accomplished?
Not really, because the differences are greater than the differences over matters as to how you run the city and how do you run the Commonwealth. Our major differences are over such matters as statehood and Commonwealth and the wage credit and 936, and the local city matters are not really a matter of concern. Really, there we cooperate more than anything.
It has been rumored that Mr. Corrado will seek to challenge you in 1988. Would you welcome such a challenge?
Well, I don't welcome any challenge, but a challenge there must be. So I think that Mr. Corrado, who as a matter of fact is a classmate of mine, will be a gracious challenger whom I think I will be able to defeat.
Have you already announced that you will seek re-election?
It's understood that I will, but of course, you do that the last year.
In Puerto Rico, is there a limit on the number of terms you can serve?
No.
Let us spend the last minute or so telling our viewers a bit about the room in which we're sitting, and in fact, the home in which we are in. It is, I understand, the oldest working governor's mansion in the United States.
Yes, it's the oldest house of government in America, in all of America.
What is the name of this place?
It's called La Fortaleza, the fortress. It was built as a fortress in 1533, and since then it has been the house of government in Puerto Rico. Over the centuries, it was turned by the Spaniards into the palace that it is today, and conserved by the initial American governors and then by the Puerto Rican governors that we've had since the Commonwealth was established in 1952.
When you're here by yourself, do you feel the sense of antiquity and perhaps the sense of your ancestors?
Yes, a sense of history. And we have great pride in this. This is one of our principal monuments here in Puerto Rico, and it ties us back to our colonial days when Puerto Rico was colonized by Spain, and it has a very rich meaning for us.
Governor Rafael Hernandez Colon, thank you for your hospitality and for your time.
I thank you for your time.